Hello and welcome back to Midwest Charge. You join me today at a Ford dealership in the town of Beavercreek, Ohio. Mainly because I totally misread something the other day. There was a great video by Walter over at the Network Architect channel, and he was talking about a new network called Loop. And I thought that the listings in the video were for level 2 chargers, but they're actually for DC fast chargers, much to my surprise. So here we are, and this right here is a Loop charger. All right, let's get into it. So there are 3 of these stations around. We'll walk around to each one, do a little bit of a site review as well. But these are Loop branded EV charging network. We've got a little QR code here, presumably to get charging, but not 100% sure yet. These are Tritium 150 kilowatt charging stations. You can tell pretty quickly because there's a little Tritium logo down there and the very distinctive status LEDs of the 2 posts. We've got all of the fun details here. So we can see 950 volts DC in, 170 amps, and the output is going to be 400 amps max, 150 kilowatts maximum for the entire post. So that means if one vehicle plugs in, you should be able to get 150 kilowatts, up to 150 kilowatts DC at 400 amps. So I'm trying to think of what kind of vehicle would do that. A Model 3, interestingly, the Mustang Mach-E and the F-150 Lightning would also be able to max us out at 150 kilowatts DC, which is super nice to see because I recently visited a Red E charging station in Dayton, Georgia at a Ford dealership as well, and they were listed as 160, I think, 160 or 180 kilowatts, but they were 300 amp maximum cables. So even though they were on the Blue Oval Charge network, every EV that Ford makes would not have been able to get 160 or 180, or even the 150 kilowatts that most of them would have liked. So obviously, if you've got like a Mach-E or I believe it's a standard range F-150, then 150 kilowatts is going to be totally enough. If you have the extended range battery on the F-150, I believe that one maxes at 180 kilowatts, so you might be a couple kilowatts short here, but still 150 kilowatts DC, really good speeds. All right, just a quick check. You can see here we've got 2 CCS handles. These are pretty nice, actually. They are the holsters for the CCS handles here seem to be better built than older Tritium systems. I never really had an issue with the cables not staying in, but they just look and feel much sturdier than previous iterations with their old RT50 and its variations. All right, let's keep looking around. We have what appears to be a Loop level 2 charging station as well. So here it says Loop EV charging network. This is just some electrical information. Oh, there is a screen. It's really hard to read. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that on camera at all. But it says totalizer, 40 kilowatt hours total. So that must be just a counter of all of the power that is passed through this charger. You've got little status lights here, so I believe this means it's ready. That would mean there's a problem, and that's it powering on. I don't know, something like that. Scan and charge, you got to use the QR code in order to get charging here. It does not say how fast it is. However, on the side, we should be able to tell from the enclosure, it has capable of handling 80 amps, but I don't know if it actually can. We have a Loop branded charging handle here. Let's see, yeah, 80 amps, J1772. Like that looks like the EV Connect branding, actually. I wonder if that's EV Connect. All right, I just put the camera down for a moment because I was going to demonstrate how to get this charging, but take a look at this. So I've got the phone here. Click on the camera app, scan the QR code, select the QR, and it just opens a bunch of text. And that's it. So I feel like somebody may have made a bit of a mistake with these QR codes. Now I'm curious. Let's go see what the QR code does on Tritium fast charger here. So we'll scan it, click the button. Okay, so the QR code is just a QR code that tells you the station identifier? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, all right, SID 2233-00134. Give it a scan here. Yeah, 2233-00134. What the heck? All right, well, it does have a phone number way down there, hidden underneath the unit and the cables that says EV Loop IO and a phone number you can call. So I'm not going to call the phone number at this exact moment, but I will give them a call here shortly, and we'll see what they say about that. It seems quite strange. Over here, we have more power electronics. I believe that this single tritium cabinet here feeds all three of the 150 kilowatt units in this area. There is the first one we just looked at. There's another one right here. We've got some more local Ohio power electronics, a 750 kVA transformer. A really nice looking Corvette, actually. I love that blue. And that's a very legit energy meter right there. So over here we have another Tritium unit. Man, what are these things named? I do not remember. But that's okay. These are the new 150 kilowatt, really nice Tritium units. So let's go ahead and scan this QR code, see if it does anything different. Negative. Just the text showing the station identifier, which is better than nothing, I suppose, but it says scan and charge on the level 2 station, and you scan it and it doesn't let you charge. So weird. We have a Pater terminal here. These are not my favorite. They seem to be more reliable than Nayax, but I don't know. Maybe it's just my cards, but I tend to have issues with the swipe to pay. So there's like a side swipe here. You can push in the chip through this goofy looking little rubber thing, or you can tap to pay. The tap to pay generally works most of the time when I use it, but not all of the time. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at the final charger here. So this is the front entrance to the Ford dealership. So you've got one level 2 and 2 DC fast chargers there, the 150 kilowatt charger that splits power to 75 apiece when 2 cars are charging. You have the hidden one under this carport that is not really accessible. It seems to be blocked off, so they don't want people charging there, even though... So there are 6 plugs, 3 stations listed in the alternative fuel center database, but only the one is accessible up front. That one's not. That's cool lightning. And over here, I don't know if you can see it peeking out from behind these cars, is the last one. Unfortunately, it looks like they don't want you using this one either. So they have blocked it off very well. They've put a truck in the no parking zone. They've put a bus in the parking spot. More pickup trucks and vehicles here, all blocking this charger, 150 kilowatts DC, just for kicks and giggles. We'll scan this QR code too, but I really don't think it's going to do anything. Nope. Also, just the station identifier. Super weird. This one is pretty quiet. There's actually no fans going at all. Level 2 charger panel. That's a huge level 2 charger panel. So the one under the carport, the fans were just going, just absolutely wild. The station up at the front and this one here seem to be doing just fine in the heat. It's about 94, 95 degrees today. So a little warm, but nothing too crazy. That is an e-transit there. And it looks like we have 3 more level 2 chargers. So let's take a quick look at these. And I'm not exactly sure if these are white labeled chargers or if they are actually an original design from Loop. They appear to be an original design. They're stickered, you know, with like the UL listing and all of that with Loop as the actual company. And I guess that little infinity symbol there answers my question of, does it look like EV Connect? I mean, it probably does look like EV Connect because I think EV Connect uses a similar symbol, but that is the Loop symbol. At least on these stations it is. Oh, this is kind of cool. So the level 2 stations have kind of a rotating handle right here, so it's easier to just get it unplugged and plugged in. Nice little cable management loops. That is something very often forgotten on these chargers. You'll see them just like thrown over top or something, get all twisted up. Yeah, and 2 more here. And well, I would say they're accessible from behind, but actually they're not. So there you go. interesting new network. So what I'm going to do is actually summon the vehicle from over there. We're going to take it over here to the Honda dealership right next door, because they also have the same loop DC fast chargers and level 2 chargers. However, they are not blocked. They only have, I think, the one Tritium unit, unlike Ford here, which has 3. So we'll go ahead and fire up the Tesla app. All right, press and hold controls to move vehicle. So I'm going to tell it, come to me. And let's see. It's moving at 1 mile an hour. 3, 5. All right, I think the new Model 3 is on the roll, but I guess we'll see. I'm just going to start walking toward the Honda dealer, and well, we'll see if the car appears or not. Maybe it'll get stuck in the parking lot. Maybe it'll find us. Only one way to find out. Hey, there it is. Awesome. All right, so the Model 3 is going to trail us like a little puppy for a minute while we go ahead and walk over to the Honda dealership. There's the car, just following behind. And here we are. We've got a Tritium charger. We've got 500 kVA transformer, some power conversion hardware, and I think there is also a level 2 right here. Let's see. No, there's not. That's okay. There's another one over there. So maybe we'll try the one over by the other Model 3. So let's just try to lead the car into the parking space. I'm not sure if it'll follow me. Looks like it won't. No, it is perfectly content to just hang out right there. That's all right. So let's take a look at the charging station real quick, and then we'll move the car into position. So this is another brand new Tritium 150 kilowatt unit, also loop EV charging network. You can see here, Honda does not block off this charger, so you actually could get 2 EVs here. There's only one marked space, but 2 stalls. You could also swing around on the other side and back in, get charging that way. We've got the Tritium PKM rectifier unit here. So this is going to be providing all of the power to the charger, because it's not an all-in-one unit. It is a distributed unit with power cabinets, very similar to what you would see from a company like Kempower, for example, where they have a dedicated cabinet with filters, air, water, cooling, power modules in here, and then they distribute it across to one or more chargers. Typically, what you'll do is some kind of site-level distribution, so you'll put just a whole bunch of power modules in here, however much you want to spend money on, and then you put a whole bunch of charging stations out, and they can just dynamically load share all the modules. Super cool. So let's go ahead and back the car in here and see if we can figure out how to get charging. Hopefully, since there is a payment terminal, we can get started on the DC fast charger with a credit card. I don't have high hopes for the level 2 charger, but one thing at a time. Okay, it is the weekend. Another person just pulled up in a vehicle. I don't know if you can see it. Boop, over there. They're checking out one of the used vehicles for sale here, so I'm gonna take that minute to selfishly sit in the car and cool off, because it is roasting outside. The car says 99. I don't think it's quite that warm, but it's very, very warm. It's definitely like mid-90s at least today. So yeah, we are roasting out here. I absolutely love this. I'm at 22% battery, and I put the nearest supercharger in my navigation in order to like precondition the car for a minute while we wait for those people to leave, so I don't disturb them. But the car is actually so warm right now, or the battery I should say is so warm, that it does not even need to precondition to get full power. So we are already at the toasty pack level, so we should be able to get the full however many kilowatts the station can deliver. All right, 22% state of charge. Let's go ahead and open the charge port. Both are available. We're gonna pick this one right here. 150 kilowatts DC. Press button to start CCS. So I'm gonna press the button to start CCS and talk loudly over the super obnoxious lock chime that I put on my car. We're gonna go ahead and grab the CCS handle. This is a REMA handle. How much you wanna bet it's 300? Oh, this looks good. It's not the Rev 300C. It is, I'm gonna try to make this camera focus, but I have no way of knowing if it'll work. So this is Rev C1 350C, 350 amps. Now, that's not quite the 400 amps that the station can deliver. However, 350 amps might just be enough to get close to 150 kilowatts. I think on a Tesla, we're not quite gonna hit that, not quite gonna hit that 150. I think we're probably gonna get around 135 kilowatts. But I mean, we're talking, that's within 10% of 150 kilowatts. That's not terrible, right? I'd love to see the actual 150 figure, but use app or tap your card below to authenticate. Wait a minute. So you're telling me they bothered to put a payment terminal on this unit, but they didn't hook it up to payment services? All right, I'm gonna try my credit card real quick, because that doesn't make any sense. Okay, processing. Remove card. I did. Card accepted. Okay, cool. So they don't actually list credit card compatibility on the screen, which is confusing, maybe a little misleading to, you know, someone who's not super familiar with DC fast chargers. Hey, we can hear the beginning of the air-cooled charging session. Lights have turned blue. The car just clicked over, so that was a pretty quick handshake time there. Yeah, this is no RT50. It's not gonna live up to the name of Old Screamer, but not very loud. Do really like that. That was a super obnoxious thing about Tritium's old 50 kilowatt chargers. But these 150s seem to have their thermals pretty well under control, which is nice. Again, it's like mid-high 90 degrees today, Fahrenheit, so quite warm. But right here we're getting 126 kilowatts. So yeah, on a lower voltage car, like the Model 3 here, which we can actually check the exact voltage in just a moment, we're gonna be getting 125 kilowatts, not quite 150. When one vehicle is connected, you get 150 kilowatts max, or 350 amps, because that's what the cables are limited to, even though the station can do 400. So theoretically, you could spec the REMA boost cables on here, because they make a similar model that allows for a 400 amp boost for a short period, and then it goes to 300 nominal. That would probably be the move for these chargers, rather than just 350 amp flat out. I think either way, it's not a bad decision, right? They didn't spec just the regular 300 amp cables, because then you'd really be kneecapped. You'd be doing like 105, 110 kilowatts here at what's supposed to be a 150 kilowatt station. But yeah, a boost profile on these cables would be quite nice. Unfortunate that we don't see that here. So 128 kilowatts. I don't think I ever actually got the price of this charging session. Does it show anywhere on the screen how much this is going to cost me? No, but you can select a different language. It doesn't tell me how expensive it is in Spanish either. All right, pack voltage is coming up. We're at just about 130 kilowatts here. So let's hop in the car real fast and check out what voltage. Whoa, music. And here we are, 348 volts. So we were in the low 300, sorry, no, that's amps. 373 volts DC. So we were probably in the mid 300 volt range when we started this charging session. And now we are looking at higher, close to 400 volts. So this 125 to 130 kilowatt speeds is probably what you'd expect to see on most 400 volt cars, unless you have a higher voltage 400 volt car. I believe the Volkswagen ID4 is one of those vehicles that actually sits a little higher in the voltage range despite being a 400 volt class vehicle. So you might get close to 150 kilowatts with something like that. But let's go ahead and stop the charging session. We've put in 7.66 kilowatt hours. This was 3 minutes and 31%, so 9% added. I also just realized I left it in Spanish, so we're gonna have to fix that in just a moment. All right, I can read Spanish, but I'm sure not everyone who comes here can. All right, so we're back to English. 7.6685 kilowatt hours delivered. 3 minute charging session, 9% added to the battery. Let's go ahead and unplug the charger here. and get my CCS adapter off of this thing. All right, check this out. So it actually knows which handle is selected because there's a plate in here, and the plate gets pushed in when the cable goes in. So when you pull it out, it knows, hey, the left cable has been removed. That's pretty nifty. All right, so we have just plugged it in. It says preparing, but I'm not sure what it's preparing for. So we'll give it about 10 seconds, and if it doesn't do anything, I'm gonna try to tap my credit card on the RFID reader and see if it just magically works. I really don't think it's gonna do it, because that's not like an actual, at least it's not indicating that it's an actual credit card reader. But yeah, also I'm pretty sure that screen is almost impossible to see. I can't see it on the video. I can barely see it in real life. Right, I tapped my card on the RFID button, you know what I'm talking about, and it made a little beep noise, but nothing happened, nothing changed. So I am going to call EV Loop and or Loop, I don't know. It says Loop EV Charging Network, but then it's evloop.io, so it's either Loop or it's EV Loop, and I think it's Loop, but I'm not 100% on that.
Thank you for calling Loop. My name is John. How can I help you today?
Hi, so I'm at a Loop level 2 charging station, but I can't seem to find a way to activate it. Is there a way to like remotely activate it?
Are you currently using the Loop app to activate the charger?
No.
Currently, guess what? Yeah, in regards to this one, to activate the charger, since it's a level 2 charging station, you need the app to activate the charger.
Alright, just spoke with support, and apparently, while their DC fast chargers are, at least some of them, are capable of taking a credit card, the level 2 station, you cannot use anything but an app. So, for the dozens of you out there who don't have a smartphone, this is not going to be a good network for you. Yeah, there's not really a way to start charging. So the representative did say that there is a guest profile in the app that you can use if you don't want to like make an account. So I am normally quite resistant to making accounts with other charging providers. I have already been through that. I have a Blink, ChargePoint, ChargeUp, Circle K, EA, EV Connect, EV Go, Flow, FPL, Evolution, Shell Recharge, ZEF Energy, Tesla, and I'm probably missing like half a dozen other accounts that I have. So I'm kind of like done with the whole app thing. I, on a personal note, don't regularly use a smartphone. I actually have one with me, but it's just a filming phone. It's got like 2G internet or something. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get the app downloaded. Maybe there's like a guest Wi-Fi here that I can access, and we'll try to do a guest charge on here, but no guarantees. Okay, so if you're wondering what I was on about there, about the smartphone stuff, so I personally have decided to not really use a smartphone anymore in my personal life. So I have a Galaxy S24, this is my old device, and up until about a week ago, this was the primary device on which Midwest Charge was filmed. It was the only device on which Midwest Charge was filmed. It's got nice little cameras on it, it's been a great little workhorse, but yeah, just not super into the whole distraction lifestyle or things like that anymore. So just trying to stay focused in life. So this is pretty much just a camera, and on the rare occasion that I have to use an app to activate something, then I can use this. But almost every EV charging network I go to now has credit card readers, with the exception of Tesla, but Tesla has my credit card info on file, and it's plug and play, so it's not the end of the world. What I now regularly use is this little phone called the Mudita Compact, and it's an e-ink style of cell phone. It allows you to sideload a few applications if you have to. So, for example, I have like the Signal app and stuff like that there. So I can still communicate with, all the people in my life, but it's a much less distracting device, very simple, very long battery life, nothing too crazy. So, yes, you can put apps on it, but it's very difficult. Well, not very difficult, but it's pretty difficult. You have to like connect it to a computer, download an APK, upload it, and all this kinds of technical, complicated nonsense. So, great little device, absolutely love it. It does have a camera. It's 5 megapixels. I wouldn't really take photos on it. But anyway, that's enough of my phone review. let's get back to the loop chargers. All right, we're gonna hop out of the car. We've got the Loop app here loading up. I'm sure it's probably invisible on the camera, but that's okay. We'll hit the QR code button, allow. Maybe this is why the QR codes are designed just to give you a station ID. Would you like a receipt? Sure. Why not? We'll go ahead and enter an email address. You are currently in guest mode. All right. 19.2 kilowatts. That's cool. So these really are 80 amp level 2 chargers. 35 cents per kilowatt hour. Holy moly, a $2 activation fee. That is one heck of a fee for a level 2 station. That's expensive. That's an expensive activation fee for a DC fast charger. For level 2, that's just crazy. So let's go ahead and continue. We're going to use my Google Pay on file. Swipe to start charging. Okay. Google Pay requires a Google account, but I have one of those. All right. I guess we'll pick something else. We'll use bank card. Apparently, it can't recognize my Google Pay, and it refuses to allow me to actually use my credit card. So unfortunately, there will be no demonstration of the level 2 loop charger. However, we do know that it's 35 cents per kilowatt hour. It has a crazy $2 activation fee. And what else? 80 amps. So 2 of those 3 things are cool. I'll let you pick which one is not the cool one. Let's go ahead and unplug and wrap up this video. All right, thanks so much for checking out this charge network that frankly, I've never heard of before. I'm guessing you probably haven't either. So, loop charging. The DC fast chargers seem pretty good. Credit card, RFID, and app activation. The level 2 chargers definitely leave a little bit to be desired. There's not really any instructions on the chargers beyond the little QR code stickers, which it seems like they're made of paper, so I wouldn't be surprised to see those wear out in a few months, and then nobody's going to have any idea how to activate those chargers. So yeah, the level 2 integration definitely needs some work, but the DC fast chargers seem pretty cool. Tritium's modern chargers appear to be quite reliable. I haven't used too many of them, but BP Pulse is using them. They're using the 150 kilowatt Tritium units and the Alpitronic hyperchargers as well, and it seems like for the most part reliability has been good, so that's always encouraging. Yeah, always good to see another CPO in the game, and like I said, I think their DC fast charger options are good, but yeah, they really need to work on the integration for their level 2 units. And by integration, I mean either the charging experience needs to be more seamless, right? Being able to use your own bank card needs to work, or Google Pay needs to work, or just have a credit card reader on the level 2 station. That would be the ideal solution, but I don't know. I just don't see that happening. And with that, goodbye from the Loop DC fast charging and level 2 charging station. See you on the next one.